devouring itself as socialism with Chinese characteristics slowly goes the same way socialism has always gone. Welcome to China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. Did you know YouTube is secretly unsubscribing people from China Uncensored? We did a survey and found 1 in 4 of you had been secretly unsubscribed. So double check that you're still subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed, now's the time. And don't forget to leave a honeypot emoji comment below for the algorithm and for everyone's favorite Pooh Bear. So, Chinese netizens have found a lot of different buzzwords to express the hopelessness that is consuming them and their country. There's tanping, or lying flat, laiban, or letting it rot, both of which have gotten a fair amount of attention from Western media. But one buzzword hasn't gotten so much attention, and that's because it's a little bit complicated. The word is neijuan, translated as involution. It's actually a concept from sociology that refers to a society that can no longer evolve, no matter how hard it tries, like a Charmander that's already become a Charizard. And it's the perfect word for what's happening in China right now. Let me give you a little background. Back in 2020, this video popped up on Chinese social media. It's a student at the prestigious Tsinghua University working on his laptop while riding a bike, because texting and driving isn't dangerous enough for some folks. The footage instantly struck a chord with a lot of young Chinese people that feel they've been working ridiculously hard their whole lives, but have little to show for it. The video quickly went viral in China, and the student became known as Tsinghua's involuted king, with involution quickly going viral on the Chinese internet. For most Chinese people, involution has come to mean an endless struggle that leads nowhere. Kind of like playing Pac-Man, it just loops over and over until the game, like the people in China, eventually crashes out. This definition is closely tied together with the insane competition, grueling work hours, and meager rewards that young Chinese people face today in the education system and then later on in the job market. The CCP has fought back against the rising popularity of the word, of course, with the CCP's media mouthpieces pitching the country as an oasis of certainty in a turbulent world, and glorious leader Xi Jinping himself telling burned-out youth to abandon the finicky lifestyle and complacent attitude, reaffirming that China's socialism is won by hard work, struggles, and even the sacrifice of lives. Yeah, you tell those lazy millennials, Mr. Chairman, all they care about is their avocado toast and not dying. But it's not working, because at this point, that word involution is spreading, and it's taking on a whole new meaning that is about much more than just individual burnout. You see, over the years, China has become locked in a high-speed race to the bottom. It's been most visible in the crowded auto industry, where car makers are constantly doing shady stuff and slashing prices below production costs to stay ahead of the competition. It's even worse in the overgrown solar industry, where prices have collapsed as China's production capacity has reached more than twice the level of global demand. You know the solar industry is screwed when you can't look on the bright side of a business that's centered around the sun. Involution has even spread to coffee, with some Chinese coffee houses having lowered their prices to as little as 40 cents for a drink in some cases, putting a major squeeze on international chains such as Starbucks in China. Doing business in communist China, such a great idea. Low prices might sound good, but the reality is something else. The low coffee prices have translated into low pay and horrendous working conditions for the baristas, and some of them have reportedly had breakdowns in front of customers. This is the final level of don't talk to me until I've had my coffee. In other industries, there's been even more stories of Chinese employees being so overworked that they have literally dropped dead from exhaustion. This sort of thing is happening across Chinese sectors and industries. Everywhere, Chinese companies are clashing in cutthroat competition and cutting prices and expenses to the bone in a fight for market shares that's leaving everyone poorer and more stressed out. And as this downward spiral has intensified, the alarm bells have started going off throughout the Chinese economy, assuming their alarm bell industry hasn't already collapsed. China's consumer confidence is historically low. The country is stuck in a steep cycle of deflation, Corporate profits are plummeting, and Chinese workers constantly have to brace themselves for waves of pay cuts. At this point, the government's growth target of 5% for 2025 seems to be in jeopardy as well, and that's going by the government's own manipulated numbers. Going by the actual numbers, the real outlook is probably closer to one of the key reasons why we haven't already seen a wide-scale collapse, with Chinese companies dropping out of the sky everywhere, is probably because they've been kept afloat by vast amounts of state subsidies. China's EV makers alone have received $231 billion over 15 years. And recently, the Communist Party has been subsidizing the purchase of consumer goods, like home appliances and smartphones, in an effort to lift spending. It's gotten to the point where consumption has just been following the subsidies. As one senior economist told Reuters earlier this month, we find a general pattern that wherever there is stimulus, it works, like the home appliances sales. But wherever there is no stimulus, like the property development, it struggles. It's like an economic defibrillator. Clear in sales. So obviously the answer is just to subsidize everything all the time and everything will be fine. Apparently not really, though. Despite the subsidies, household consumption remains disturbingly low in China, and Chinese consumers remain wary. China's debt has been rising faster than one of their spy balloons. And on so many fronts, from infrastructure to housing to manufacturing, there are simply too many companies with too many people doing too much of the same. Industries are like plants. You can make it rain all you want, but they won't grow if you don't get to the root problem. That analogy goes out to all my fellow gardening heads. Everyone wants to produce and sell, and not enough want to buy and consume. You can't really fight that fact by cutting prices and whipping employees to run faster for less. The only solution is for some suppliers to go. Trim the dead leaves so the rest of the plant can thrive. I got really into gardening during my time away. Usually the free market can take care of a lot of that on its own. But with so much state intervention everywhere in the Chinese economy, the situation has been able to grow into a monstrosity of involution. It's a recipe for disaster. So why have the Chinese authorities been setting the stage for this ticking time bomb? The only type of bomb they didn't steal the designs for from somewhere else. Well, Xi and his government have a grand vision. The great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. A big part of this CCP